Hello guys, it's summer again. It's time to work on the bike. Before we go out on it, get it out of hibernation, take priority over tidying the garage up from all the quick tasks I did and never tidied up for me because it was freezing in here. Okay, this Multistrada 1200 that I have, it's got some kind of problem with the back brake reservoir. It really turns the fluid a nasty black colour pretty quickly. I don't know if it's relation to the exhaust, how close it is. You just get so much heat like in this back area, and also this is the exhaust here. So I'm not sure if this whole like rear frame assembly and the structure here gets hot. I'll have to try that with my thermal camera and see what it's like after a good run. But anyway, a lot of people complained about this bike when it first came out that the back brake didn't work very well, and after this, especially this time in the winter, I've only been out on it like once every 2 weeks or so. No back brake at all. It's actually, I had to push it right only when I'm stopped. If I push it to the very limit, will it stop the bike from moving, and that's it. When I'm actually moving, it won't work at all. And I use it all the time when I'm driving slow, so that's a big thing. So it's a quick, easy job to do this on your own. It's always nice to have someone with you for the brakes. But it's a dead easy job. The rear brake is down here. You go onto the left side of the bike at the back, and you can get in there with a transparent pipe on the nipple and just use a transparent bottle so you can easily see how much is coming out. And there's a couple of ways to do this. You can try and siphon out the fluid first, so you don't have to pump it all through, or just pump it all through. Make sure it gets just below a bit the min, and then top it up, and then keep pumping it through. And just keep doing it. I mean, brake fluid's pretty cheap, so you can just put a bit extra through there. Make sure you get it all cleaned out. I'm using this little cheap siphon pump. It was like £5 or something. So basically, just put that in the top. And with brake fluid, don't suck it. Don't suck the pipe and siphon it with your mouth, because it's pretty nasty stuff. I don't know the term for it. But with this, just put it as low as possible to help here along the way, and pump like crazy. And you can see it'll suck that out pretty well until you get air. It's not a big problem getting air in here because the air will rise in the fluid, so in the top it's not too bad. You really don't want air in your system with brakes. That's the reason they use brake fluid, is because it doesn't compress at all, and air does compress. So if you do get air in there, you'll get it spongy, and as the temperature changes, you'll get diminishing effects. This reservoir location is a little bit tricky, as you can see. So it's quite hard to get a funnel in there, but I've got the funnel for the job. This one's pretty good. So we're going to fill this up and then bleed it, flush it through, and then try and get the pressure back in there by pumping the pedal and then bleeding it off. And we have to keep the pedal down. That's why you really need two people. But I have a strategy for that because I don't have any friends. Okay, I'm using some Motul. I think I got this free actually from a racetrack vendor, and it's 5.1. Remember, this is non-silicon based. If your bike has the different fluids, I think it depending on the seals in the bike, I'm not sure if to take out to use silicon based. I don't know if you can just flush it and put silicon based in, but it's best to stick with the 5.1, the 3 or the 4 if that's what's in there, because that's the default, I think. As you can see now, it's topped up and it looks super clean. I have a lot of towels around when you're dealing with brake fluid. It's the most dangerous, well, the most abrasive stuff on the bike, really. You don't really want to get it on your hands and then start touching your paintwork. Certainly don't want to touch your eyes or anything like that, so just be real careful. Have a lot of, maybe wear gloves, glasses, have some paper towels around to clean up the spillages. This is a tiny little reservoir. Just be careful. If you've got that big long funnel, don't try and fill the funnel up because it'll be all over the place. My method here for my solo installation of liquid replenishment is using a screwdriver and putting some tape on it. So masking tape on the end, masking tape in the middle, and as you push the pedal down, you can just slide it under there and just gently let it take up the weight. And now I can undo my nipple let the fluid bleed out, and then I can leave the nipple open, come back and just pump it through until this liquid's down, and fill it up and just make sure I can completely flush the system up by keep doing that. Got a clean bottle, we've got some of our clear tube, and we've got it on the nipple there. And I've just clicked the nipple open a tiny little bit, and you'll see a little bit of fluid will come out. And not much, because it's not under a lot of pressure, because we've still got the pedal is just depressed, so it'll just pump out a little bit. And then we can leave that open and go back and pump the pedal a little. So I've took my little screwdriver out, and now I can let go and watch my reservoir. And every time I let up, it should let a little bit down. So a little bit of the fluid goes through the system. So we're just pumping it through. And if we look through here, we can see there's a little bit of fluid filling up in the tap. And when we get down, I just keep pumping that until we push it all through. When we get down to just below the main, certainly don't keep doing it, because if you just pump air into there, then you're going to have trouble rebleeding all that and trying to get the air out. Topped her up again, and again I'm going to pump all this through. I'll go through to the bottle, we'll see. So we've emptied all that out and pumped it through. So I'm just going to do that once again, because I can start to see all the black stuff that was in the reservoir coming through. I don't know if that's visible on the camera, but now it's getting really dark. So I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to just keep doing it until I see clear again, which should be the new stuff. So I'm going to leave that on there, and hopefully as we pump this through, I'll watch the reservoir, but we should see it change colour. Oh, not yet, so I'll do it again. So this is the fourth reservoir fill now, and we're just going to try and pump it through again, and hopefully this pipe will go clear on the caliper side. Yeah, you can see now that's definitely clearer. But I'm going to do one more just for good luck. This is a tiny little bit of fluid in each reservoir fill. Okay, that's, I think, pretty good now. I've flushed all the bad stuff out. As we can see in the bottom of the bottle, we've probably got a mix there of all the bad stuff that was in the reservoir. A lot of the stuff I siphoned out. Remember, I also used the pump and siphoned it straight out of the reservoir into a can. So there's a lot of more dark fluid that we don't see there. And this looks pretty clean. So now go and lock it off. Actually try and get any air out that may have got in there. See, on this side now we've got a lot of air that's come up. And we can just tweak with a spanner that's too long. Okay, we're back on the caliper side now, and I've got all that crappy fluid in here. It looks like it's been boiled to death. It's funny, I've been on a racetrack a lot with my other bike, and I've never seen fluid this bad. So I think it's just the heat around the reservoir area that just boils it over time, and the aggregation is pretty bad. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to undo it a tiny little bit. Not as much as when I was bleeding it, just a tiny little bit. Oh, there we go. So we'll see a tiny little bit, oh, a bit too much there. There we go. So now I'm going to pump a tiny little bit through, and I'm going to come back and lock it straight away. So we're not giving any air chance to get back in there. Now I've tapped off, I've tightened off the nipple, and really want to pump the pedal a lot. Make sure everything gets completely filled with the fluid. We're not getting any air bubbles popping in and out of there. Really don't want anything. And then we'll put the screwdriver back in, we'll put the pressure pressure back in, we'll put the screwdriver back in, and we'll go and untap the nipple and then tighten it again. And I'll do that 2 or 3 times, and then the pedal should get really solid doing that process. Making sure we're topping up the reservoir all the time. What I find here is as you pump it, you go and release the nipple, tighten the nipple again, come back, pump it. You might find you struggle to get your screwdriver in even, because over time, if you got air or anything in there, the pressure in the fluid's either bad or there's air in there, the pressure will probably depress a lot further than it should. So you might find how you had your screwdriver set up to hold it down, you may have to use some other concept or just push it down a lot harder. All this assembly is pretty solid. I won't worry about bending anything, but I won't go too crazy. You shouldn't really need to go too crazy to force it down. Third time I've done it now, and the pedal seems pretty solid at that point, and it was definitely going down a lot further before. So make sure everything's tapped off, cleaned up. When you fill your reservoir up for the last time, leave quite a lot of space. So I would have it just under the max a little bit, because this seal you put in, it also takes up a lot of the fluid. So if you put it right up to the brim, as you drop this in, it's just going to spill out all over the place. Be careful with that. Okay, so now we can tighten the nipple back off with oh, I never said this is 11 sorry, wrong one. I tried it, I thought it'd be a 12, but it's 11. It's an 11 mil spanner, wrench, whatever you want to call it. You can buy brake ones, but I was there's no shop nearby, and I couldn't find mine. You can buy little specific brake ones that have a little, like, they're more enclosed, they're more wraparound. They just fit over the hydraulic pipe in some cases, what you need to do that, and they have a good wraparound. Don't over tighten this, make sure you tuck it up properly. And also, most important thing, we can stick our rubber nipple cover back on there, little dust cover. Most important thing with like anything to do with brakes is just go real slow. You know, do a little check ride. Go and ride literally a few hundred meters and then check it, make sure there's no fluid coming out on the wheel. And then go and do a ride where you warm everything up and maybe get off a few times and check it. Back brake obviously not as important as the front brake, but any leaking brake is not good. I tend to use my back brake a lot. I know a lot of riders, or they don't teach it too much, but when you're going really slow, like through traffic, or you know, just basically stabilizing the bike at really slow speed, I just hover on the back brake a little bit. Doesn't upset the bike as much as touching the front brake. And you can use your accelerator and your back brake a little bit at the same time, just to really steady the bike up at kind of balancing speeds. I hope this is of use to someone. I know it's nice to work on your own bike and not have to, you know, especially if the bike shop's a long way away, you have to go and book it off and drop it off and pay them obscene amounts, and no reason you can't do a little job like this yourself. It's kind of fun. Buy the tools, buy good tools, they'll last you forever.